It's finally here! My first time using a fold phone. So full disclosure, Samsung did send me the Z Fold 7 for me to try out. It is a loaner device, so I will have to give it back. And I also do have a paid partnership with Samsung for 2026. I will be marking every single paid video. I will give like the disclaimer and I will mention that it's a paid partnership in all the videos. But videos like this where I don't mention it, it is not a paid thing. So Samsung is not asking me to make this video. This is just something that I really want to test out and see what it's like living with a fold phone and see if it's something that I would want in the future. Even though I do have a partnership with Samsung, I'm always going to give my honest thoughts about what I think about the devices. So that's my disclaimer. If you don't like it, I can't really do anything about it. Alright, Editor Cody here. Now we just finished up the video for the Z Fold 7. Now one thing to keep in mind is that when I started this video, I did not pick up the S26 Ultra yet. Yes, this is the S26 Ultra. If you want to check it out, I have a full vlog about my trip to Samsung Unpacked. I'll link it up here or down in the description below. So if you want to check that out, pretty cool phone. But when I first started this video, I was just comparing it to the S25 Ultra. So for the remainder of this video, it's still going to be compared to this phone just because that's what most of the video is about. But yeah, super excited. This will be my first time trying out a fold phone. I already am using the S25 Ultra. This one I bought myself, so this is not sent by Samsung. I've actually been liking this. It's actually been pretty fun to use, and I haven't been on Android for a while, but going back to it, I do like that I have a lot more customizability with a lot of my apps. There's a lot more like third-party things you can do to it. Using the Z Fold 7, even just setting it up, it's super cool that you have this screen that you can open. I've always liked tablets. It just makes for a better viewing experience, and obviously it is being set up, so I haven't tested it out fully, but just looking at this and having a nice big screen is pretty cool so far. We did get it pretty late today. It is almost 3 p.m. So we're going to be doing a full week with the Z Fold 7 and seeing what we think about it. But yeah, super excited to check this out. This is actually perfect because it came shipped to me at 19% battery. So we're going to see how long it takes to charge up and also do a battery life test throughout the whole week. I am a pretty heavy phone user. Take a look at my S25 Ultra battery screen usage. I'm using like 13 hours of screen on time a day, which is kind of nuts. I'm on YouTube a lot, just watching other videos or Instagram, scrolling through that. So I'm a pretty heavy phone user. So we're going to see how long the battery lasts with this, especially with two screens. I assume that it's going to take up more battery. Okay, it's currently 4 o'clock p.m. so we are starting in the middle of the day, but the Z Fold 7 is now at 12%, so we're going to see how long it takes to charge. It does not have fast charging, which I'm actually kind of surprised about because it is their flagship Fold, but maybe there's some like hardware limitations. So it is 25 watt charging on a 4400 milliamp battery. So we'll see 4 o'clock, we'll see how long it takes to charge up to 100%. Alright, 11%, 4 o'clock. Let's see how long it takes. So supposedly this says hour and 15 minutes. So we'll set a timer for hour and 15 and see if it's done charging by then. One thing I noticed right away is that this camera bump is crazy. As soon as you put it down without any case, the whole phone just wobbles. And the funnier part is if you have an alarm that goes off, the whole phone just vibrates up and down because of that camera bump. We also set up the Z Fold 7 to feel faster, and this is something that I do with every Samsung phone. So if you go to settings, scroll down and find about phone, and then go to software information, you can actually find the build number, and if you tap this 10 times, then it opens the developer options. Scroll down here until you find the window animation scale, and change all of these options to 0.5x. This just makes the phone feel a little bit faster. So it's been about 30 minutes and we're at 50% so far. So the natural way to watch videos with the Z Fold 7 is obviously with the bigger dual screen, but sometimes you might want to just prop up the phone to be able to watch on one screen at an angle. So I found this really cool thing where you can actually open the phone in kind of like a tent shape and use the single screen to watch videos and just use the shape of the phone to prop it up. Now there is a weird quirk about this because if you open the phone too far, the video actually just jumps into the dual screen. But the really weird thing about this is that it's not like there's an activation point where if you move it a little bit too far, it jumps to the dual screen, and then you move it back a little bit, it jumps to the single screen. When you move it a little bit too far, it jumps to the dual screen, but when you move it back, it doesn't actually jump to the front screen. You have to close the whole phone just to make it jump back to the front screen. So now you're playing this very weird balance game where you're trying to open the phone slowly, just enough to the point where it stays on the front screen but at the proper angle that you want. I don't get why there's not like an activation point where it switches between the two screens and you have to close the whole phone just to get it back to the single screen. I also really like the in-screen fingerprint sensor on the S25 Ultra, and with the Z Fold 7 you don't have that. The fingerprint scanner is off on the side, which I actually found is kind of annoying. The fingerprint scanner is super fast, so when you actually land your finger in the right spot, the phone just turns on right away. But because the fingerprint scanner is also so thin and doesn't have any grooves, it's just flat on the side of the phone, there are times where I've missed it. But I did end up setting up a few fingers with the fingerprint reader. So since I am right-handed, my right hand thumb is like the natural placement that you're going to want to set up as your first fingerprint. Now I also set up my index finger on my right hand as a second finger. This is really useful if the phone is just on my desk and I'm grabbing it. It's just easier to access than my thumb. Now if I am grabbing the phone with my left hand, it does seem obvious that my left index finger would be a natural placement for it, which it kind of is, but I actually found that the middle finger on the left hand is actually an even better placement just because of how long the phone is. My middle finger just falls a little bit more naturally on the fingerprint reader, so I set up that finger as well for a total of 4 fingers. Now I think this will take a little bit of getting used to. Right now I am used to the S25 Ultra fingerprint reader in the screen, and I do think that I like that a little bit more. Obviously time will tell to see if I get used to the fingerprint reader on the side of the screen, but right now it does feel a little bit weird. The phone does get kind of hot. Now I just opened this and there were a couple updates, and obviously updating is going to take a lot of processing power, so it does make sense that the phone is going to be heating up a little bit more. But because the phone is so thin, you can definitely feel a little bit of the heat, and I can actually feel the heat on both sides on the screen, on the dual screen side as well as the back side. Not really like a downside, it's just something that I noticed. So for the dual screen, actually has been really nice to use. I like to watch a lot of YouTube videos, so just having a bigger screen overall is just super nice. Now coming from the S25 Ultra, I did notice a few things. So first, the display is not as good as the S25 Ultra. The S25 Ultra has an anti-reflective coating on the main screen, and you can definitely tell in these shots that the Z Fold 7 definitely has more reflections. So if you're working outdoors or just somewhere with a lot of light, this may get annoying. However, when the dual screen is flipped open, I don't really notice the groove in the middle of the two screens, so that's actually really nice. I was worried that I would see it in a bunch of angles, but so far I haven't really noticed it.
You don't really see the groove in the middle of the screen. Even when I like pick up the phone and turn it, most of the time you don't see that groove. Like look, this looks like one big screen. You can definitely see that the anti-reflective coating is not as good here compared to the S25 Ultra. Like look at that. The anti-reflective coating is nuts. Compared to this, you can see this clear. Versus here, there's like nothing here almost. So this is really nice. I really like that about the S25 Ultra screen. But yeah, this groove is pretty impressive because it's not there. You can see that when I turn it here, that's when you see the groove right here. But when it's open, you can see it basically disappear. So that's pretty cool.
So one thing that I actually find that I'm kind of liking is typing with the full screen open, because it splits your keyboard into two. So when I'm typing captions, it's just a little bit easier to type because then you're actually split up into like two sides and you don't have to reach in the middle. For some reason, I think I type a little faster this way. But for some people, I guess you probably won't be used to this, so it's probably just preference. Posting on Instagram. Alright, last little update before I head to bed. It is now 12:24 on the first day, and we are currently at 38%. So screen on time has been about 5.5 hours. We use 66% battery around. So far I'm actually pretty impressed. We've been doing a lot of YouTube, as you can see, 2.5 hours on YouTube, decent amount of Instagram. Honestly, it's mostly been YouTube. Just watching videos. And just a collection of like everything else, setting up the phone and stuff. And this is also with that thing where I said that it was using a lot of battery when updating. It updated I think maybe like 5 times. So honestly, so far this has been pretty good. I do know that it has to like learn your usage and stuff, so I assume battery will also get better over time as it learns your usages. So yeah, pretty good for day 1. So one of the cool things you can actually do with these Z Fold 7 is obviously these cameras here on the back are going to be the best, and if I want to record myself, if I flip around the screen, we're going to be using the front camera, and that's not going to be the best quality. But because you actually have a screen on the other side, there's actually a button here where you can press on it and it turns on the cover screen preview. So if I flip this around, I can swipe here, and now you can see I actually show up on this side, and I can actually switch to video. We can go over to the wide angle, and now I can record myself using these front cameras and see myself at the same time. Alright, so right now we are recording this with the Z Fold 7. We're actually shooting in log. And I just have a couple packages here that I want to open up. Got a couple things from Amazon. So our first one is this 200 watt GAN charger by Ugreen. So I am doing a couple trips this year, and obviously we're going to have to charge a lot of things, and I'm going with a couple people. So we're going to have a couple laptops, we're going to have all the camera stuff, phones that we need to charge. So this is actually super useful. We got a brick. So flip out AC plug. It is a 200 watt charger, so there's actually 4 ports here. You have 3 USB-C, 1 USB-A, and I'll throw the specs on the screen, but the great thing is there's actually these two with the laptop symbol. So if you want to, you can actually plug in 2 laptops and they will charge at 100 watts each to get up to that 200 watts. So you can easily keep 2 laptops fully powered. If you want to end up plugging all 4, you'll get 100 watts here, 60 watts here, and then these will be the additional 40 watts, I believe. So that's really cool. So this is going to be my dedicated travel charger because I can plug in so many different devices and make sure that everything has enough power and enough charge speed to charge everything up quickly. So quick update, it's currently 12 p.m. We started the day at the gym at 92% and right now we're at 79%, so used about 13%. So that was about an hour-ish of gym, so just like Spotify the whole time running, and then about 20 to 30 minutes of treadmill, and on the treadmill I was watching YouTube. YouTube is definitely the bigger battery suck. Music doesn't really take that much battery, so yeah, 13% used. Not too bad. I think it's probably on par with what I was expecting. But I'm gonna make lunch, probably gonna watch a little bit more YouTube, and then I'm heading down to the auto show. And we're not gonna charge the phone at all, so I'm just gonna keep it running for the whole day and seeing how long it'll last until the battery dies. We are heading downtown to go to the auto show. I'm just gonna pick up my friend and then we're gonna head down. Quick update, my phone is at 48%, so we actually dropped a pretty significant amount after the gym because I was pretty much just watching YouTube the whole time, and every time I'm watching YouTube, I am using it flipped or folded open. So I am using like 2 screens, so YouTube is definitely a really big battery suck. So we're gonna see how long it'll last when we're actually at the show. We're gonna be doing some photos, using the camera and testing out the resolution of it, as well as doing video. I also want to test out the log capabilities of it. So super interested to see how this is gonna go. Look at this guy right here. Look at this guy. Hi. Hurry up. Hello.
How wide is that thing?
This is 17 mil. We're vlogging today.
Nice.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll look at the trucks.
Huh?
Maybe I'll look at the trucks.
You can test drive the trucks.
I can test drive the trucks.
Yeah, they have test drive. Alright, we are at the Toronto Auto Show.
Yo, is this what you have?
This is the new one.
This is the new one.
It's the new Tesla Model Y.
It's a little dark.
You come here every year?
I did last year, I think.
I think it's my first time here.
What? Really?
Yeah.
We never took you?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't cool enough for you.
No, I think you were out.
Check out your truck. Alright, we're shopping for your car, right?
It's okay, dude. It's not my. I'm not getting a wrap.
So what does he wants?
I'm not getting a wrap.
Okay, so what do he wants? F-150 wrap.
He's lying. He's lying. He's lying.
I see my brand. Where is it? I found it. My next car. So, I was looking at our map to see where we're trying to go on this screen. I completely forgot that I can just fold it open and then actually have a huge screen to be able to see the map. Good thing someone reminded me that I actually owe the fold for a reason.
He's a Samsung ambassador, by the way.
We're trying to go to the Lego store and then the Audi booth. Nah, this booth is so much better than Beamer.
Nah.
Look at this lighting. They actually have good lighting. Yeah, they have good cars, but like they have good lighting. So yeah, final update before we log off for today. I just want to go through the battery usage today. We did use 107% today. So I did charge going back from the auto show back to my house. I did charge in the car, so that's where that extra percent came from. Our screen on time was 6 hours and 35 minutes, and then we had almost 8 hours of screen off time. So I assume that is just a lot of like usage when the phone screen is off. So things like Spotify where I don't really need the screen on when I'm playing those. YouTube is definitely a very big battery suck, as well as if I use these screens open like this because you are using more screens. I also really like that the phone brightness can actually get so high, but that's also a pretty big battery suck. And when I was at the auto show doing pictures in the beginning, I didn't realize that my brightness was maxed out. So that definitely had an effect on the battery. But yeah, we used about 40% during the auto show. So the battery usage is kind of on par with what I expected. So I think that's fine. I do wish that the Z Fold 7 had fast charging though, because it only has 25 watts of charging. The Z Fold 7, like we mentioned, does have a 4400 milliamp battery, so it is pretty big, but if you are going to be using something with two screens, you probably want a bigger battery, and since it is so thin, you're not going to have that much room for a bigger battery, so I wish that they would at least put even faster charging, like 45 watts in this. I do know that the Z Trifold does have 45 watts charging though, but I do wish that the Z Fold 7 does. I was also shooting in expert RAW mode, so shooting both RAW and JPEG photos, so I'm assuming the RAW photos and shooting log video will be affecting the battery life a lot more. But yeah, pretty much on par with what I was expecting. Alright, final thoughts. Am I going to keep the Z Fold 7 as my main phone? And the answer is, I don't think so. I think with the way that I use a phone, which is just usually watching videos or just taking photos, the Z Fold 7 is not big enough of an upgrade for me to want to use this phone. I think because of the aspect ratio of the screen, videos are not that much bigger. They definitely are a little bit bigger than the S25 Ultra, but they're not significantly bigger. So I think if it's just for YouTube, it's not worth carrying around something like this with a few of the downsides that I mentioned, like the Fingerprint Reader or having to use different apps. So I think personally, it's not for me. I think overall, there's no real downsides to this. I just think that if I had the choice, I would just take the S25 Ultra over the Z Fold 7. But I think if I had to use the Z Fold 7, I'd be perfectly happy with it. I just won't be able to maximize the potential of using a fold phone. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you think. If you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more photo video content, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.